pop art robot drawing, and you're just going to walk through this with me step by step, okay? So the materials that you're going to need are, you're going to need a white piece of paper, and then you need a pencil and an eraser, and you also need a black permanent marker. And then for actually filling in with all the colors, you can either have markers or colored pencils or crayons. It's just whatever you have sitting around. All right, let's get started. Okay, so to begin, you want to come like perfectly in the middle of that paper is where we're going to draw our square shape, okay? So it's a square shape, but the square shape itself is not going to have corners unless you want it to. I made my corners of my square be more rounded. And let's see how many fingers it is. When you do this, it looks like it's maybe a finger and a half this way, and a finger and a half all the way around. So if you use your finger, just like I was doing a second ago, you can actually kind of figure out the size in that way, okay? So finger, and then half a finger. Do you guys see how I just did that? So that shows you how big the square is, and that square needs to be in the middle of your paper, okay? Right in the middle of your paper. And again, it can have sharp corners or it can have rounded corners like mine, rounded edges. Okay, once we have our square right in the middle, we have a space up here and a space down here that's about the same size as that square. This size here from bottom to top is the same as pretty much here and here, just to give you another reference of spacing. All right, then right in the middle of that square at the top center area, we're going to draw two short lines, which are going to be for the neck. The neck is then going to turn into the head. So down here, we're going to draw a line, up here, and it's a little bit less, it's not quite as long as this one here, not quite as wide as this line here, the one that's for the square. And then same thing, it's going to be more of a rectangle this time, but I want rounded corners. And if yours are not rounded and they are sharp, that's fine too. But if this was about a finger and a half, this is more like half a finger wide, half a finger tall, and maybe a little less than half a finger and a half going this way. Okay, so now we've got our head. Now we're going to add some details up here and then proceed on downwards. So in this area here on the right and the left side, you're going to want to add a half circle space that looks like this, but notice I'm not closing that half circle. So it's really more like two sort of curved diagonal lines, and we're going to do the same thing on both sides. So one here and one here, and if you closed it, it would appear to be sort of like half a circle, okay? Then, my friends, you're going to come into that half circle, just like that with these two little lines. Notice how they go into that area. And then we're going to make a curve right here, okay? And we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to do two lines that come down into that space, and then a curved line like that, okay? And that same curve that we have here and here, we're going to do one just same exact curve, just like it on both sides, so that the two curves are parallel, meaning they are the same. They are exactly the same kind of curve, the same direction of curve. And then out from there, we're going to do two more lines that are a little bit skinnier, okay? And then we're going to turn those lines and come up. So same thing, parallel line, side by side, and we're going to come up, okay? And once we get up here, we're going to go ahead and put a curve at the top to kind of close it, all right? We're going to do the same thing on the other side as well. So straight little lines that come out off the side. It's going to look just like this one. And then we turn and we go up. And another parallel line right next to it. Turn and go up. and then we're going to curve like that. Okay? Okay, so then what we're going to do is we are going to add what looks kind of like a sphere or a ball that kind of wraps around like that. That makes it look like this pole thing, this little bar, is going into that circle, like it's actually attached in there. And that's cool because that makes it look more three-dimensional. And then when you come over here, you can do sort of the same thing here. Notice where I'm doing my lines. They're kind of curved and rounded, but that makes it look like this stick or this bar is also coming out of this little shape right here. Once we've done that, then we're going to come up like this, 2 parallel lines. And the first one that I started is going to come over the head, and it's going to come back and join this one. And then we're going to curve this one around, again, parallel line, and join this one, okay? And from there, we are going to add 2 antenna looking things. And if you do this on both sides, 2 parallel lines at an angle, you want to skip over this area here and bring it from the other side, okay? So it appears like it's behind this bar that's going around there. And we bring it up just a little higher, and then you can curve the top to close that shape. And then we're going to do the same thing like we did here with these circles. We are going to go around and curve back so that it looks like a ball with the sticks coming out of it. All right, here we go. So now we're going to add the face to our robot. Now this is the part where you can do anything you want to do. Like, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, but you can if you want to. So I like my robot to not be perfectly symmetrical as far as, you know, the details inside of my robot. So for my first eye, I'm going to make it nice and big and round. And if you want to make a pretty good circle, the best way to do that is to use a circular shape. Like, you could use, you know, a sharpener that has a circle base, or a glue stick cap, or a quarter, or something like that. So that's going to be that eye. On this side, I'm going to do another eye that's round, but it's smaller. And then there's a smaller shape inside of there as well. And then around this shape on this side, I'm going to do a curved sort of circular shape. It curves and comes to a point. See how I'm moving my paper around? I'm actually spinning my paper around as I do this. By doing that, it helps me stay in that sort of circular shape that I want to maintain. So now I've got one eye done, and this eye, I'm going to sort of do like a half circle inside like that, okay? So now we've got 2 eyes. And I'm going to do some little short rectangles down here, bars that are just one after the other. And this is going to serve as my robot's mouth. And we've got that, and I think I am done with my face. Okay, so now we're going to go into the body. I'm going to add a rectangular shape over here. And remember, boys and girls, if you need to use a ruler, okay? I'm not suggesting you do all of this freehand. You can most definitely use a ruler as much as you want to do your project. So within this rectangular shape, I'm going to add some bars again, like long rectangles similar to this, but for these, they're all going to be side by side. So the next one goes a little bit higher and it comes back down. The next one that I do is next to it. So they're all touching, as you can see, and because they're all touching, you don't need to do a brand new line on both sides every single time, but instead you're basically adding the top to something and then coming down. The only time you add a line to either side of that bar is if you have to go up a little higher, then you close it and you come back down. And there. Okay, so we've got that there. And I'm going to make a bunch of little knobs on my robot. So I'm going to do a half circle right here. and then another half circle on the other side. So it kind of looks button-like. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to do 3 in a row. So half circle and another one right next to it with a little space in between. And then I'm going to do one more half circle, space in between, and half circle. So the spaces in between are made with, you know, straight lines, since you're kind of chopping that circle in half. Down here, I'm going to do a straight line, and I'm going to do a bigger half circle. Okay? And then in this space here, I'm just going to do a bunch of circles that are all the same size that kind of look like buttons. And I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 rows of those depending on how much space I have. And they're spaced apart, but if you're not doing exactly the same number as me, that is totally fine. And you know, guys, this is where you can get real creative and you can really do some fun things with your robot to show off and show me all the cool stuff you're learning. Okay, so now we're going to add the arms and the legs. So on either side of our square, we're going to add a line like that. And that line is less than half a finger. Okay, you can see how long that line is. And that's going to be your first rectangular shape that is attached to the side of your robot. Then you're going to do a small one like that. We're just going to keep building on top of what we've already put there, okay? So add this smaller one and then another bigger space. So you see the pattern that's created, bigger shape, skinnier, bigger, skinnier, bigger, okay? And then down here, we'll add another little one. And then we will conclude by adding one that's slightly smaller. And in that, we're going to then add a curved line, like a half circle line. And this is going to be sort of the hand of our robot. It kind of looks like a pickle or a hot dog or something. And then we're going to do the same exact thing on this side. So rectangular shape followed by a skinnier little sliver shape, a second rectangle, then another, then another. Remember, just refer back to this if you need to, because that's where we already did it. And then a smaller one down here that's not quite as big as these 3, and then a half circle and curve. And there you go. We've got our hands. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to do the legs. So go ahead and add 2 lines going straight down from the center of your square part of your robot. So use a ruler if you need to. And I want you to notice the space in between my 2 lines. I'm going to put my finger here so you have an idea of that space, of how wide it is, okay? And then the length is definitely half a finger, okay? All right, so we're doing this on both sides, and then about a little less than half a finger, we're going to draw our second line on this side, sorry, our third line, and then the 4th line on this side. So now we've got sort of 2 legs made with these 4 lines, okay? At the bottom here, instead of closing this into rectangles, we're going to make a curved rainbow shape line like this. And we're going to do that on both sides of the robot legs, okay? So we've got a half circle kind of curved rainbow shape down there. And then it's going to be complete with a flat line. Now, if you have a little space in between your 2 feet, that's okay. If they're touching, that's okay too. Either way. And then within those legs, we're going to add a line across, and then another one to make that skinny sliver of space, and then a bigger one, and then a skinnier one, and there we go. And same thing on this side. All right, so now we are done drawing our cool robot. So the next steps are going to be for you to color your robot, and you can just do all kinds of cool stuff with your robot. So I'm going to go ahead and just color a little bit with you, and then you can go ahead and color more. Notice that I did some patterns and stuff in some of my areas, but this like dot stuff, it's just simply using the tip of the marker and just doing dots all next to each other using the tip of the marker. And I'm not pushing hard because I don't want to ruin my markers and make them, you know, get too squished on the edge there. So it's just a gentle nudge with the tip to create that. So I would do, you know, some stuff that has patterns in it and some stuff that is colored in perfectly solid. And, oh, I forgot one more thing. Right here on this half circle, so grab your pencil again, we're going to add little marks in here so it looks like some kind of gauge. And then you can put like 2 little sticks in there like that, and that kind of appears to be some kind of measuring device. Okay, so yeah, and that's it, guys. So then you can just go ahead and start coloring. And when you're completely done, you will have something glorious like this. And once you're done, please post pictures. I can't wait to see all the cool stuff you're gonna make. And I've just been really, really proud of you guys, okay? I love you, I miss you, and I'll see you soon.